I'm finally doing it. It's finally time for the Tyre Reviews SUV tyre test, and as usual, I'm doing it as properly as I possibly can. I have 8 of the most popular tyres in the 235/55 18-inch tyre size, which is a very popular crossover / SUV tyre size. As these kind of tyres and vehicles don't often see off-road, I will be concentrating on the dry and wet performance of the tyres and comfort and noise and rolling resistance, which are the key qualities. But thanks to Goodyear very kindly lending me their epic off-road test facility in Texas, I'll get to dig into some of the real-world scenarios that these tyres might actually get used on, such as damp grass traction, gravel traction, and hopefully even mud. The tyres I have on test are the Michelin Primacy 4, the brand new Goodyear EfficientGrip 2 SUV, the extremely popular Uniroyal Rainsport 5, the new Hankook Ventus S1 Evo 3 SUV, the Nokian WetProof SUV, the Vredestein Ultrac Satin, the Avon ZX7, the BFGoodrich Advantage SUV, and of course a budget tyre. All this data will really allow you to drill down into exactly what you want from the tyre to make the best purchase decision for your own personal driving. So now I've said all that, let's get started with the dry and wet performance of the 9 sets of tyres.
Due to the setup of the VW Tiguan and the relatively high sidewall tyres, the subjective and objective differences during dry handling were small. All 9 tyres finished the lap within 2.1% of each other, with the Avon, Goodyear and Hankook also being the nicest to drive on, with positive steering and balanced handling. The slower tyres, such as the BFGoodrich and Uniroyal, had considerably more understeer. However, none of the 9 tyres had any unsafe dynamic characteristics. Dry braking had a much larger spread, with nearly 15% separating the best and worst. Michelin had a significant lead over the 2nd and 3rd placed BFGoodrich and Goodyear, while the budget tyre took nearly 6 meters longer to stop the SUV from just 100 kilometers per hour, which is a residual speed of approximately 40 kilometers an hour, where the best had already stopped. In the wet, things were a little bit more spread out.
Once again, like in the dry, the WestLake, just lack of grip everywhere really. Lots of understeer, lots of sliding, not so much grip. Cheapest tyre in test, so there's that, but it wasn't a million miles off. It wasn't the worst budget tyre I've ever used. Next, with the BFGoodrich again, and the Michelin. Now, the BFGoodrich, just again, like in the dry, felt a little bit sloppy, and the peak lateral grip wasn't super high, but the brakes felt okay. And the Michelin felt really good on the brakes actually. And it felt like it had good grip, but just over the course of this lap where there are deeper parts of water, the Michelin was aquaplaning more, which meant you were hesitating on the throttle more and waiting to put that power down or waiting to turn a little bit more, and it just hampered the overall lap time. So I felt like the Michelin had good grip, but the lap time suffered because of the aquaplaning, and the starting tread depth of the Michelin is the shallowest on test, so it'll be interesting to see how that tyre does in the aquaplaning tests. The Nokian tyre, good grip, perhaps not the most dynamically, it wasn't as fun to drive as the Goodyear Hankook. Then there was the Avon. Now the Avon felt like the Goodyear and Hankook actually. I think it was the same in the dry. Felt pretty sporty, but like the Michelin, perhaps not quite as bad. Like the Michelin, the Avon also had a bit of aquaplaning in various places that just cost the tyre time, because aquaplaning with understeer just means you're understeering more and waiting and waiting and waiting. The Goodyear and Hankook were again the most enjoyable tyres to drive in the wet, both giving you a rounded package with nice steering feel, good braking and just some confidence to push on. As I've said before, doesn't turn the Tiguan into a Tiguan GTI, or actually VW called it Tiguan R, didn't they? It doesn't turn it into a race car, but of the group of tyres, of the 9 tyres we've got testing, I guess they're the most fun. Finally, Uniroyal is up to its old tricks with the Rainsport range. Now the Uniroyal Rainsport 5 wasn't the most dynamic in the dry, and from a handling point of view it's not the most dynamic in the wet, with quite a bit of understeer but very good grip. Absolutely no issues with aquaplaning anywhere on the lap, and good grip laterally, and felt very good on the brakes.
The Uniroyal Rainsport 5 continued its wet dominance by having the shortest wet braking distance and the best overall aquaplaning resistance. Like in the dry, the Michelin Primacy 4 was excellent in the shallow water of the wet braking test, but struggled more with the deep water aquaplaning test, while both the Goodyear and Hankook had impressively rounded abilities in all the wet testing. Next, we'll test comfort and noise, which are important qualities for an SUV tyre.
Now all these tyres are 235/55 18, so they've all got quite a bit of sidewall going on, so they're all relatively comfortable. You don't get a huge amount of crashing through into this car from any of them, but there are differences. The best tyres on test for comfort were the BFGoodrich and Uniroyal. Now, you might have noticed I've been moaning about these subjectively in the handling test because they don't seem to provide much detail or stimulation through the wheel. and that's paid back in comfort. Both these tyres were exceptionally good at rounding out all the big road imperfections and just giving you a nice smooth experience, and both were pretty quiet, but I'd say the BFGoodrich had the advantage in quietness, in internal subjective noise. Next up was the Goodyear and Michelin. Now both these tyres, they're not that far off the very best. They both offer good suppression of road imperfections and bumps and everything like that, and both relatively low levels of noise. Then it was Vredestein, Hankook, Nokian and Avon. Very, very close to the previous groups. There's a theme here, but perhaps just slightly less comfortable overall. Just the whole package, the big bump suppression, the small bump suppression, the rumble over coarse surfaces, the quietness over smooth surfaces, all very good, but just not quite as good as the Michelin, Bridgestone, Uniroyal or Goodyear.
Interestingly, the pass-by noise test actually had the BFGoodrich generating the highest external noise, 1.6 decibels louder than the quietest tyre on test, which was the Goodyear. Finally, let's test the basic off-road abilities of these tyres.
Right, off-road testing. Before I give you the results, there's a few things I probably need to clear up. Firstly, the astute of you will notice I'm not sat in a Tiguan. This is a Toyota Tacoma. Why? Well, Goodyear have modified this vehicle so I can lock the rear diff, and it has an auto box. The other one's manual, which ensures repeatability when we're doing traction runs, because we're doing 10 and averaging them out. Secondly, Goodyear gave me the option of doing any off-road testing I wanted, but due to time constraints, I picked what I thought was the most applicable in the real world, which was damp grass traction, gravel and mud. Thirdly, sadly, mud isn't a thing, because we've had some heavy storms in Texas this week. It's ruined a lot of testing, and the mud pit was just too damp. We even tried putting the Tiguan in to get some weight over the driven axle, and that was a no-go. I wouldn't have been confident in the data, and as I'm a data geek, if I'm not confident in the data, I'm not doing it. As for the slightly moist grass, well, there was actually a bit of a correlation with wet braking, with Hankook, Michelin and Goodyear being the best of the best, and Nokian, Avon and WestLake struggling a little bit more. There was over 10% between the best and the worst tyres on test, meaning there potentially is the difference between the tyre that will get you stuck and the tyre that will get you moving. So worth keeping in mind if you think you're going to be using your SUV on slightly damp grass. As for gravel, Goodyear narrowly beat Uniroyal to the best, which is interesting because the Uniroyal, although it's an asymmetric tyre, it has the most directional pattern. So I thought it was going to be pretty good on gravel, and I guess it was. But the correlation was, it might just be a fluke, but the correlation was the tyres with the highest starting tread depth were the tyres that performed better in gravel. I'm not sure if it's related, but I thought it was interesting. Sadly, you'll notice that WestLake isn't available in the overall results. That's because it started storming just as I was driving to the gravel strip, and sadly that tyre couldn't run. So for the overall results, I've just marked it as 100%, but we don't actually know where the data is. And speaking of the overall results, let's get off this loud gravel and let's go look at these overall results. As always, to get to this final order of tyres, we turn all the data into percentages, apply a score weighting to them, and then add them up for the final order. As this is an SUV test, I've placed a slightly higher overall weight on noise, comfort and fuel use than in previous tests, and of course we have the off-road performance to take into account, but this only has a small weighting on the overall scoring. The good news is I'm giving you all the data on tyrereviews.com, so you can head over and pick your own winner. In last place was this, the WestLake, and again it's the cheapest tyre on test. You may have noticed this tyre is a mildly siped tyre, and while it was sold to me as a summer tyre, it's actually sold in many markets as an American style all-season tyre. This does excuse some of its performance, however it really doesn't excuse the crazy long braking distances in both the dry and wet, one to avoid. The Avon ZX7 was next. This tyre was enjoyable to drive and performed really well in both the handling tests, but sadly that was the peak of its performance, and it struggled in braking, aquaplaning and had the highest fuel use of test. Not a bad tyre and usually well priced, it just needs to improve in the key safety critical areas such as braking. The Vredestein Ultrac Satin placed 7th overall, and this is another tyre that I actually really enjoyed driving but lacked grip in the critical braking test. It was however excellent in aquaplaning tests, good in gravel, low external noise and low rolling resistance. So I'd like to see the next generation of this tyre give up some of that aquaplaning resistance to put more rubber on the ground for the grip tests such as braking. 6th place was awarded to the Nokian WetProof SUV. Now this was actually a balanced tyre, not particularly bad in any of the key tests, but sadly not stellar in any of them either. I like the thought process of the Nokian engineers, and it just needs a small improvement in all areas, and it should bring it back to exactly where Nokian want it to be, and that's near the front. A good balanced tyre, just wasn't excellent in any area. The BFGoodrich Advantage SUV is a tyre that seems to have a bit of a split personality. On one hand, it had the highest external noise levels on test, but conversely was one of the most comfortable tyres to drive on. It had very good aquaplaning resistance, but conversely poor wet grip in braking and in handling, and was very good in dry braking, but not so good in dry handling, where soft steering response and lots of understeer really cost it time. Add in a decent rolling resistance result, which it had, and you've got 5th place overall for the BFGoodrich. Hankook Ventus S1 Evo 3 SUV might be a mouthful to say, but it's a very good tyre. It was one of the best subjectively in both dry and wet handling. It had the fastest dry lap, short braking distances in the dry and wet, and good grip on grass, and low noise. The drawbacks? Well, it had quite a high rolling resistance, and it wasn't great on gravel. Overall, a very good tyre deserving its 4th place. Uniroyal are back on the podium with the Rainsport 5, and if wet performance is your priority above everything else, this is your test winner. It dominated the wet test, having the fastest wet handling, the shortest wet braking distances, and the highest overall aquaplaning resistance. It even had good levels of comfort and was very good on gravel, thanks to this tread pattern probably. However, all this good comes at the expense of dry grip and handling. The tyre was average in dry braking and one of the slowest over the dry handling lap, and like the previous tyre, the BFGoodrich, it had so much understeer, it just wasn't an enjoyable tyre to drive quickly. But as this is an SUV tyre test, not a UHP tyre test, it hasn't been marked down too much for that. Overall, 3rd place and very deserved for this tyre. This only leaves 2 tyres, and if you've watched my recent UHP test, you might roll your eyes, as it's once again Goodyear and Michelin at the very top. If this was a magazine test delivering data in a clinical fashion, the Michelin Primacy 4 would be the sole test winner, narrowly beating the new Goodyear EfficientGrip 2 SUV on points. But as this is me, we're going to talk about this a little bit more. Firstly, the Michelin had a huge advantage in rolling resistance, nearly 10% better than the next best tyre, which was the Goodyear. Secondly, it also crushed the critical braking test, winning dry braking by over 3% and just losing out to the Uniroyal in wet braking. Also had good levels of comfort and was very good in the damp grass. However, this is not a tyre without drawbacks. This tyre starts with 6.8mm of tread depth compared to 8.8mm for the Goodyear. Now, even though I've not been able to test wear, I'm not at all worried about the Michelin having a shorter tread life than any of the other tyres, including the Goodyear. In fact, I'd put my money on both the Goodyear and the Michelin being able to cover the most distance of any of the tyres on test. However, it does affect the aquaplaning performance of the tyre, where the Michelin was last in both aquaplaning tests, both curved and straight aquaplaning. Michelin argue, with accident research data to back up their point, that aquaplaning isn't as safety critical as wet braking and dry braking, and while I agree that some tests do place too much emphasis on the aquaplaning scores, for a family SUV tyre that will get used in all conditions, it is something to take into consideration. The Goodyear EfficientGrip 2 SUV might not have won overall on points, and the only tests it did win were the low-weighted gravel traction and external noise tests, but once again Goodyear have made a tyre with no real drawbacks. Of the 11 tests conducted, Goodyear won 2 tests, came 2nd in 2 tests, 3rd in 4 tests, and 4th in 2 tests. The one test it came 5th was curved aquaplaning, and while it was 11% behind the winning Vredestein in that test, it was still nearly 17% ahead of the Michelin. Once again, Goodyear and Michelin are fighting it out at the very top, but this time with actually quite different design approaches to tyres. The point system does have Michelin as the winning overall, but it's up to you to pick whatever tyre you feel will fit your own driving circumstances and desires. One last point, I haven't factored in price to the overall results, but I did have some time to check what various retailers are selling everything out, especially these two. And Goodyear is significantly cheaper than the Michelin in pretty much all the retailers I've checked. Something to factor in when you're doing your shopping. As always, any questions, please ask below. All the data is on tyresreviews.com. Give it a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, safe motoring.